kids, it's Katie, and this is Paraclete.
Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 different categories of shapes. The first category is triangles, the second category is quadrilaterals, and the third category are rectangular polygons. And so the first category, triangles, the definition is a polygon that has 3 sides and 3 angles, and the angles always have to add up to 180. So the first type of triangle we're going to talk about is an equilateral triangle. And this triangle is pretty special because all the sides are equal and so are all the angles. And since the angles are all equal, they would all be 60 because 60 plus 60 plus 60 is 80. And remember that every triangle has to add up to 180. And so in this example that I drew of an equilateral triangle, it shows that all the sides are the same length, 3 inches, and then all the angles are the same, 60 degrees. So the next kind of triangle we're going to talk about is an isosceles triangle. And this triangle is special because it has 2 sides that have equal lengths and 2 angles that are equal. And the total of all 3 angles are 180, of course. And so to indicate that the sides are equal, like those little dashes on the sides, and then to indicate that the angles are equal, it's those little curvy things in the corners. So for this example, I showed an isosceles triangle that has the same congruent angles as 80 degrees, and so that means that the top angle would be 20 degrees, because remember that the triangle's total angle has to be 180 degrees, and so 180 degrees minus 80 degrees minus 80 degrees equals 20 degrees. So that would be left. And also the sides are the same, 5 inches and 5 inches. Alright, the next triangle is a scalene triangle. So this triangle is pretty unique because no sides are equal and no angles are equal. But of course, all the angles add up to 180 degrees. So the example that I drew of a scalene triangle, it shows that all the sides are different lengths. And because of that, all of the angles would be different lengths as well. Okay, the next triangle is a right triangle. And for this triangle, there's always one right angle, and a right angle is an angle that always equals 90 degrees. So there are 2 types of right angles. The first is a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and the second is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And so the first one that I'm drawing here is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And so it pretty much shows that there's a right angle and they're all different angles. So that means they all have different lengths. So the next right angle triangle is the 45, 45, 90 triangle. And this triangle has 2 of the same angles, 45 degrees and 45 degrees. And so that means that they have the same lengths. And this 45, 45, 90 triangle is also considered an isosceles triangle. The next type of triangle is an acute triangle. And so for an acute triangle, it's when all the angles are acute, and acute is when an angle is less than 90 degrees. And then we have an obtuse triangle. An obtuse triangle is when one of the angles is obtuse, which means it's more than 90 degrees. Alright, the next category is quadrilaterals. And the definition of a quadrilateral is that it always has 4 sides and 4 angles, and the angles always have to add up to 360 degrees. The first quadrilateral we're going to talk about is a square. And so a square has all the sides that are equal, and then all of the angles are equal as well, and they're also right angles. And so it'd be 90 degrees plus 90 degrees plus 90 degrees plus 90 degrees, or 4 times 90 equals 360 degrees. The next quadrilateral we're going to talk about is a rectangle. And so the rectangle is pretty similar to a square, except the opposite sides are equal, and it shows in this picture the little dashes, you know how they're matching? That means that they're equal in length. And then all the angles are also 90 degrees. And next we have the rhombus, and don't worry about the picture. I know it looks a little complicated, but it's not too bad. And so for the rhombus, all sides are equal, and they have 2 pairs of parallel lines. And what that means is that the lines never intersect or touch. and it's indicated by the little arrows on the sides. And a rhombus also shows that the opposite sides are equal, and so it shows the little curvy parts in the corners. And then we have the parallelograms, and the concept of parallel sides also comes from the rhombus, but for the parallelograms, it's two opposite sides are equal, and then they have two pairs of parallel lines, which again is shown by the arrows on the sides. Next, we have a kite. And so this quadrilateral looks a little complicated too, but it's not too bad. So there are adjacent sides are equal, and adjacent means that the lines are touching. So it's the opposite of parallel. And there are two equal angles, which is shown by the curvy parts again, but as you can see, there are only two pairs, and the other corners are empty, so that means that they aren't equal angles. The next quadrilateral is a trapezoid, and a trapezoid is when there is only one pair of parallel lines, as shown in the picture. And next we have the trapezium, and this funky looking shape is a quadrilateral that has no pairs of parallel lines. Finally, the third and last category is regular polygons. And so the definition of a regular polygon is a 2D shape with straight lines, and the shape is closed. So that means there's no openings in it. And in a regular polygon, all the sides are equal and also all the angles are equal. The first regular polygon we're going to talk about is an equilateral triangle, which we already kind of talked about in the triangle category, but it's a regular polygon because it has 3 equal sides and 3 equal angles. The next regular polygon is a square, and again we talked about the square in our quadrilateral category, but it's also a regular polygon, and the reason why is because it has 4 equal sides and 4 equal angles, and remember that each angle is 90 degrees. The next example is a regular pentagon, and this is a regular polygon because it has 5 equal sides and 5 equal angles, and each angle is 108 degrees. And lastly, we have the regular hexagon, and this is a regular polygon because it has 6 equal sides and 6 equal angles, and each angle is 120 degrees. Now there are so many different types of regular polygons, an octagon, a decagon. I could go on. The list literally goes on, but I don't feel like drawing all of them. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching.